It was one of those nights, cold, sharp, and empty. The kind of night where the world feels like it's holding its breath. The road ahead stretched into nothing, just an endless ribbon of asphalt cutting through dark, barren trees. My headlights barely pierced the night, casting weak shadows that seemed to sway and shift as if alive. I'd been driving for hours, just trying to get home. The radio was dead, static humming faintly through the speakers, and the only sound was the hum of the tires against the road. That's when I saw her. At first, I thought it was a trick of the light, just another shadow cast by the trees. But then I saw the faintest outline of a figure on the side of the road. I slowed the car. The figure was small, barely visible in the dim glow of my headlights, standing motionless on the shoulder. It was a girl, maybe in her late teens, wearing a white dress. The fabric fluttered slightly in the air, though there wasn't a breeze. She stood there, perfectly still, her back to me. The street lights didn't reach her, and it was as if she were carved out of the night itself. Something felt off. Something about the stillness, the emptiness of the place. It gnawed at me, but I couldn't just leave her there. I rolled down the window, leaning out to call out, "Hey, you need a ride?" She turned slowly, her movements unnervingly deliberate, and I felt the air around me drop a few degrees. Her face was pale, almost ghostly, her hair long and dark, tangled as if it had been through a storm. Her eyes were wide, too wide. They gleamed, hollow, like black pits in her face. "Yes," she said, her voice soft and distant. "Can you help me? I just need to get home." My gut twisted. The last thing I should have done was let her in, but I couldn't look away from those eyes. Something about them anchored me, made me feel like I was seeing something I wasn't supposed to. I motioned for her to get in. She opened the door and slid into the passenger seat without a sound. The air in the car grew cold, and I shivered despite the heater running. I kept my eyes on the road, trying not to glance at her, but I could feel her staring at me, her eyes unblinking, watching my every move. I cleared my throat. "Where are you headed?" "Just down the road," she whispered, her voice distant, like it came from somewhere far away. Her fingers twitched on her lap as if she were anxious, but she didn't move otherwise. Silence was thick, suffocating. I tried to focus on the road, but the more I drove, the more the air in the car felt wrong, heavy. I could barely stand the stillness between us, so I forced myself to speak. "You're far from home. What's out there?" She didn't answer right away. Instead, she glanced out the window, her reflection in the glass twisting into something inhuman. Her face shifted, flickering between a girl and something older, something sadder, something haunted. I had to shake the thought away. "Just keep driving," she said, her voice a little too soft, almost like she was talking to herself. I pressed on the gas, heart thumping in my chest, the sound of my own breathing loud in my ears. I was almost afraid to speak again, but I couldn't help myself. You're not cold?" I asked. Her skin looked like marble, smooth and cold. No one could be that pale in this weather. She didn't respond right away. Instead, she shifted in her seat, and for just a second, I could have sworn her eyes flicked toward me with a sort of unsettling familiarity, like she knew something I didn't. "We're almost there," I said, though I had no idea where there was. I looked over at her, and suddenly she wasn't there anymore. The seat beside me was empty. I slammed on the brakes, my heart dropping to my stomach. The car screeched to a halt, and the headlights illuminated the empty stretch of road ahead. I twisted in my seat, but the door was wide open, swinging in the wind. I got out of the car, my pulse racing. "Hello?" I called into the darkness, my voice shaky, but it only echoed back at me. There was no sign of her, no footsteps, no trail. Just the empty road. I felt a creeping chill spread through me, and for a moment I thought I saw something moving in the distance. a figure just at the edge of my vision. But when I blinked, it was gone. I drove away quickly, my hands shaking on the wheel, my mind raced, replaying every moment. I tried to talk myself out of it. Maybe I'd imagined it. Maybe it was exhaustion or the late hour. But when I got home, I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. The next morning, I asked around. No one knew who she was. No one remembered a girl in a white dress hitchhiking along that road, but then I found something. An old news article in the local paper, a story about a girl who vanished on that stretch of road decades ago. She had been hitchhiking too. The strangest part, the article had a photo. It was her. That same face, those same eyes. I drive past that stretch of road every night now, but I never stop. I never even slow down. Every time I look into the rearview mirror, I swear I see her standing there, just beyond the glow of my headlights, waiting, watching, and I know she's still out there, waiting for the next driver.